This week's episode, we get to chat with Kayla Gonzalez. I met Kayla when she was 13 years old and dancing at the Dance Zone. She grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and at the age of 13, Kayla was diagnosed with alopecia, which she describes in our conversation. At first, it seemed like a devastating challenge for her, but she teaches us how her perspective shifted and how it brought her to a truer sense of self-love. After graduating from Wayne State University and receiving her BFA in dance and Stop Pilates, she followed her heart to New York City, where she currently explores many passions: dancing, teaching, and traveling as the lead competition administrator with Amplified Productions. We welcome Kayla Gonzalez to the show. Welcome everyone to Messenger of Love with Gina Puro. Today we have a very, very special guest. I have known this guest since she was 13 years old, now 24 years old, and what a messenger of love she is. I am so excited to have her here. Welcome, Kayla, to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You know, going back 13 years at your age, I met you as a dance teacher.
Yes.
So I was teaching at the Dance Zone located in Las Vegas, located in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I was Kayla's teacher. Tell us about your 13-year-old journey as a dancer.
So when I was 13, I obviously was dancing. I was a competitive dancer, but I wasn't truly into like the deep competitive scene yet, if that makes sense. I enjoyed it. It was a passion for me. But it wasn't like my entire life or like my entire self. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with alopecia, and that's when dance kind of became like my saving grace, you could say. So I dove into it head first with the support of my teachers and friends around me. But that was like the Dance Zone was the place where I felt safest to be my truest self. And whatever that meant that day, as I was losing hair, as I was going through different treatments, as I didn't want to go to school, I always knew that I would want to go to dance. So I think that's when my passion kind of grew, or deepened, I would say. It was always there, but deepened, and I became more and more in the competitive scene, more and more in the convention scene, especially. Just taking classes, wanting to learn from different educators, and then ended up studying dance in college. And now I live in New York and am a professional out there. So it's grown quite a bit. But I think that at that moment when I was 13, diagnosed with alopecia, I felt like that was kind of the end of my world, when really it was kind of like the roots of what my life is now to be, filled with dance, passion, love, all things.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second. You know, from obstacle or challenge or diagnosis, disease, right? Like all these words into like the root of what's your passion and your purpose and like the biggest love that you have found.
Yeah.
And I remember you know, when I remember walking into the dance convention and you were in the back, you weren't really, focused.
Yeah.
You were just sort of like, I'm just here, part of the group, And then at age 14 and at age 15, I mean, you were that determined, fiery, like in the front, wanting to get all the information, like, and you danced full out. I mean, from age 13 to 15, you grew in your dance skills and you grew in your love for dance. And like,
yeah,
I just saw such a huge growth. And I think what I want to highlight here, and especially if we have dancers in the audience, is, we want better technique, or we want better jumps, or we want to be better, right? But the root of all of it is love.
Yeah.
The root of all of it is love. Like without love of your craft, you will not get better. Because love is the root, like the passion, that life force, right?
Yeah. And it's like, it truly is like that. The passion for it is what's going to like get you out of bed to go to class in the morning. And that's passion for it is going to want you to play deeper and it's going to want you to get more information. And like the love of it is like the love for almost like the dissection of it as well. It's like, okay, what is going to make me, I hate to use like the word better because it's just, it's a deeper connection. It's a deeper love. It's a deeper understanding.
Yeah. A deeper drive. You know, on the show, we talk about motivation. We talk about what motivates you, or how do you keep going, resilience. And what do you feel is that driving force? Like what drives you now at 24? What is driving you to live a positive, heart-filled life?
I think knowing how light it feels and how joyous it feels. I think it's kind of circular, that it's like, I know how much joy dancing brings me and the people around me bring me. And just almost like making a moment out of every moment that like knowing that that's going to come back around is what's driving me to then let me have deeper connections with the people around me. Let me have a deeper understanding for dance. Let me have a deeper understanding for Pilates because I teach that as well. Deeper understanding for the convention world at Adrenaline, which is Revive. So it's like knowing that I can understand deeper and knowing that I can love deeper in like those things that are every day and like might be a job or might be work, quote unquote, will then just come back around of like, okay, I have more joy in these relationships. I have more understanding in this. I have more, I don't know, just lightness.
So you follow, what I'm hearing is you're following the light of it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this feels light. So I want to keep following that. I love that. And what a great teachable moment for all of you. Are you following what is light in your life or feels light or feels like airy or, are you thinking about how this moment can deepen the next moment of connection or how this moment can deepen something further for you to grow or to, you said, to love, deeper. We hear these taglines, love yourself, or, love is the healing source, or, anything can be healed with love.
Yeah.
How do you define it for you, and how could you share with our audience just another perspective?
I think that the act of loving yourself and loving your life and the people around you is a true act. So I think that like the tagline of it all, yes, like you could look yourself in the mirror and be like, I love you. But like how do you show up for yourself? How are you showing up for the people around you? And I think it's like you're not every day is easy and not every day is the same and not every situation is the same. And I think that like being aware enough to understand that no matter what, at the end of the day, like I will deeply love myself and I will deeply love the life that I have. And if that means that, maybe today I had a rough day and, kind of like fell on my face a little bit and made a fool out of myself or whatever you may like feel the angst in your body or make you question your love. It's an act, it's like you love your parents deeply and you might not always like your parents, but you love them and you can think of that in the same way for yourself. But I think, showing up for yourself, showing up for those around you, like how are you filling your cup? How are you designing your day? How are you organizing yourself the night previously so that you can have a better day, tomorrow?
You are very organized.
It's like it's kind of like a scattered chaos, but like it really makes sense in my mind. And that's what matters, it's like it doesn't have to be your version of organization or yours, but it's like it's mine. Yeah. And I found that what works for me. And I think having like a deep conversation with like your internal self, it's like, what does this mean? Because your life is, you don't want to build a life that's like the exact same to someone beside you. You're loving yourself is different than loving themselves and then loving themselves.
Yeah. It's like the genre.
Exactly.
It's like this, right? Like, exactly. What's your genre?
And it's like, I know that I really like to have a nice warm cup of coffee and have the time in the morning to sip it. You know, some people are like, let's have hot water instead. Yeah. Okay. And that's cool. That's you. This is me. And that's going to serve me and prepare me for the day.
How do you think being diagnosed with alopecia, how do you feel that has really been a catalyst for how you're showing up in this act of love?
I think that was a very challenging time in my life. I think that's a very challenging time for anyone that is going through puberty at 13 and dealing with, you know, all types of people also going through puberty, and we're also 13. And, you know, it's like, that's a real thing. And I think that with hair, there's a large beauty standard with hair. And I think I had to learn that I had to love the life that I was making, and I had to love myself without this beauty standard.
Wow.
It's like some people were able to they were able to get ready and do this and do that and like braid each other's hair, and like the act of like womanhood or the act of girlhood with that was not an option for me. So I think that it almost like snapped me into like, okay, you have to, what are you going to fill your cup with that's not this? Because this isn't an option.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think like as I've gotten older, it's like, okay, you know what? For example, I went and saw the Rockettes a few weeks ago. It was so fun. Past Rockette right here next to me. I love this show. I think it is so beautiful. I take precision jazz classes. I'm 5 foot. I will never be a Rockette. That's my fact. That's my truth. I don't have that, but I can still love it. I can still enjoy it. I can still respect it. And like, obviously a much different type of vein, but it's like, you can't look at what you don't have and then just like always chase after that. Like that's not an option. So what do you have? Like, what do you have? And how do you fill your cup with what you have? I kind of went all over the place with that one.
Yeah, no, I loved how you ended that though, Kayla. You know, it's like, know what you have, fill your cup with what you have, and know what isn't an option.
Yeah.
You know, and for you, you were very clear that, you know, that's not an option. I'm not going to be braiding my hair and doing stuff with my hair. So why am I even looking at that?
Yeah.
Why not look over here where I know exactly what I'm doing and what I can do, and I can be better at being me.
Yeah.
You know, than trying to be upset that that's not an option.
Yeah.
And I think for all of you watching, you know, how often are you looking at the options that aren't available for you instead of all the options that are available to you?
Yeah.
And it's such a great teachable moment and such a great thing to remember, especially on the journey of expanding love.
Yeah.
You know, even loving the option that's not available for you. Like you said, right, you can still love the Rockettes and you can still go and watch them and, you know, feed off the joy of the show and celebrate others that are doing it, knowing that you're 5 foot. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Instead of being mad at it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like, I also think with like going through alopecia at a young age, a lot of assistance from people around me. I think I have like I think I allow myself to be neutral on things. Doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to be bad. Like I can just be neutral. And like, I think love, like I said before, like love is an act, but like love can also be neutral in some places too. Or like, you don't have to like, I hate this or I love this. Like you can just simply meet in the middle, and that is great. Yeah,
I love that too. Like love can be neutral. It doesn't have to be the up and the down or the drama.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes as performers, knowing that we both are performers, we love performing. We don't have to perform our emotions all the time.
No.
We perform on stage.
Exactly.
That's where your emotions want to come to life. But in everyday life, we don't have to perform that. And so I think finding neutrality, especially in the performance journey, can be very gratifying. I know about 9 years ago when I met David, my lover, who you know, he was like, wow, babe, you're like this. He's like, you dancers, you know, you're just, whew. And he's like, have you ever thought about this? And I was like, I don't even know what that feels like. I just know this, you know? And he goes, okay, give it some time and you will find this if you want to find this. Like, what would this feel like for you as a human being? And I remember being challenged by it. So, you know, I took the challenge on because I love a challenge. But I now feel more neutral than I've ever felt in my life, where it creates this wave of love.
Yeah.
Where I'm not judging, I'm just really in acceptance. And yes, I get excited about things that, you know, that I love. But there's just more of a wave, and it's not like this up and down thing.
Yeah.
And I find it so much easier on my body than the up and down.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
And even like, you almost need the neutral baseline to then like have the joy and highs like really be nice and joyful and high. And like sadness is also a part of life and a part of love, and like to have like just a smoother wave up and down because you have a baseline. I think it's also just it's a lot like smoother on the nervous system, a lot lighter.
Yeah. For those that don't know what alopecia is, could you describe for our audience, like what is it, and how were you affected by it?
So alopecia is an autoimmune disorder. Basically, your white blood cells attack your hair follicles. So I started with alopecia areata, which is pretty common, but basically there was like quarter in, or like the size of a quarter circles, like bald spots just happening sporadically. A good friend of mine actually has one that's been on her head for her whole life.
Okay.
So it's not uncommon. It's it exists. And then I turned to alopecia universalis, which is my entire head, and then went Fawcett's hair.
Okay.
And currently I have alopecia totalis, so total hair loss. So I don't have eyebrows, eyelashes, arm hair, anything like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I did have different waves of trying different things, and I had moments where I had a lot of hair come back and had it leave again. That's happened about 3 times, but at this point, I've just been sitting with my totalis for 5 years now. So yeah, and also it goes on the waves. Yeah, gotta stay neutral.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I obviously watching you from 13 to 24, I just want to acknowledge the woman that you have become. You know, remembering that first moment of meeting you, to seeing your growth, to watching you determined to follow your passion, overcome, you know, whatever options were not available to you. You overcame those by seeing the options that were available to you. And something so, you know, so sweet is, you know, Kayla and I now work for a company called Amplified Productions. And so we travel with their companies called Adrenaline and Revive. They are convention competition focused, education. What a great company. I feel so blessed to be a part of it. And, you know, what I love is like being a teacher of Kayla's and a coach and going through this journey together, and then showing up at my judges panel. And now Kayla is the boss of me. And, which is so cool because I am so open to learning from anyone. And, you know, you have inspired me and taught me a lot too. And I love that neutrality because it does create that openness where for me, age is just a number. It doesn't really determine, you know, who I can learn from or, you know, but I do trust that what shows up in my life, whether they're a client or a student, it is a two-way street, a two-way journey. So I definitely have enjoyed all the moments and memories with you, especially with the stubborn ones.
Yeah,
right.
It's definitely in my ether.
Yeah. But I look at your ability to stand true in your values as such a core value for you. And it's so inspiring. You know, when I see you just standing so strong, call it stubborn, call it core value, hey,
name it whatever.
Yeah. It's just, it keeps leading you, to where you want to be, to what you're doing, to how you're inspiring others. I ask every guest this question. If you, as you are a messenger of love, thank you for being a messenger of love. Thank you for being love, sharing love in so many ways that you do. What would your message of love be today for our audience?
I think it would be, look at how you show up in your life. Look at who you surround yourself with, how you look at the work that you do every day, and like deeply look at it and see what type of energy like comes up with it. See what type of like first impressions, first feelings come up with it. And then approach it neutrally. But if there's something that is not serving you, if there's people that are not serving you, if there's things that are not serving you, you have the ability to change that. And if you can't change it, you have the ability to change your perspective on it. And I think, I think there's a lot of like love, four-letter word. It's used a lot. But at the end of the day, like, how do you love your life that you build? You're only going to love yourself if you can love your life, truly. Like you're building both of those. And I think if you can look deeply at like all the aspects of your life, and if you can find love within those, and that's then going to circle back to loving yourself, and then loving your life, and then loving yourself, and then I think the circle of life, circle of love, circle of perspective, circle of neutrality, whatever you want to call it.
And I love that you shared that we can change it. And if we can't change it, we can change the way we see it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what you've done so graciously in your life, or maybe what made you change it to better serve you. Whew. I have one more question because it's coming in, audience, so hang tight because it just came in. If it comes in the right year, I got to ask it. But what message of love did Kayla at 13 need to hear?
I think that everything was going to be okay, which is such like a quote unquote simple phrase. But like, I think that if I could like go back and just like give her a hug, be like, one day you are going to think that you're beautiful. It's like one day, like you are going to let your smile be bright. Like one day, like you will be okay. That would be very lovely.
Yeah. Words are powerful.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with that, everyone. I know you are too. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for being on this show. Thank you for being a messenger of love once again. We need more messengers of love in the world. So, lots of messages within this one episode. So we encourage you to follow along. We have more shows coming your way. In the meantime, Lipstick, Lashes, and God is coming out. So there's a lot of messages in there. Lipstick being a metaphor for our words. So today I'm going to sign off and say it's going to be okay. So wherever you are in your life, you will be okay. I'll take that from Kayla's 13-year-old inspiration. And until then, anything else, Kayla?
Not much. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. Lots of love, everyone. We'll see you soon.